what if I tell you that I do believe in God?
Do you believe in Jesus, according to the Bible?
Unfortunately, I don't believe that Jesus is the God. That I do believe in one God. That's true. There's not like many and stuff. I believe like Jesus is one of like the messengers of God, let's say.
Because you can see there's a God. That makes it a bit easier. Is I can share with you, if you'd like to know. People call it the gospel. If you don't know that term, just the message of Jesus Christ.
Okay. So
if you want to.
what if I say like that Jesus Christ is the messenger? Would you say that no, that's the wrong part?
I don't think you ever deny being called a messenger of God. However, he made it clear that as well as being a messenger for the Father, I'll be specific in that one, that he's also God.
Okay, so you're basically saying like he's the son.
That is something he had said, yes. That's also a title that had been given to him too, claiming his divinity equal to God the Father.
Doesn't that mean there should be a mother?
So what exactly is going on here? Where is this confusion coming from that God has to have a mother in order to give birth to a son? Well, let's take a look at John 3:16. Here shown from Bible Hub is the actual Koine Greek. And we can read the words, "Thus for loved God the world, that the Son, the only begotten, he gave, so that everyone believing in him not should perish but should have life eternal." Fusion is coming from the word only begotten. This word begotten can have several meanings. It can mean to father, or to create, or to bring about. A lot of people understand the word begotten as in to create something, so they believe that God has to have given birth or been part of the process of creation along with a female. However, that's a misunderstanding of this word. Remember, begotten can also mean to create. For example, it comes from the root word begets, and we can say that killing begets more killing. We understand exactly what this means. We don't ever imply literally that killing has literally produced more killing in the same reproductive way as human beings create children. No, it's used in an entirely different context. For example, if you have a look at Matthew chapter 1, you look at the lineage, you can see the word beget being used several times, showing a father-son-like relationship. That's the context being used here. However, as shown on screen now, the word being used here is very interesting. This word in Greek means unique, specifically only being referred to Jesus in the entirety of the New Testament. So what we actually have being said here is that God's unique, one and only fathered Son. That's what's being implied here. Nowhere is it being implied that Jesus is a created being. However, if we wanted to take this in some further context, we could say that the image that Jesus has, his fleshly nature, was indeed created, but nowhere is it ever implied that Jesus' very spirit or essence was created. However, a certain Abrahamic faith does imply that God can't have children. While that's correct in a reproductive sense, it's entirely misunderstanding a core point and trying to relate God to human standards, which, according to an Abrahamic faith, would be nonsensical, as God is not a human being like us and doesn't need to operate the same way as we operate. Here is the verse that implies that God must have had a wife in order to have had a son. showing a blatant misunderstanding and making it questionable if this was ever God in the first place. We're human beings. God is a divine being. A being never changes regardless of whatever persona they're taking on. For example, if you create an avatar or a character and use it in a game, you're still a human being simply controlling a character or avatar. Let's take it a step further. Let's say you were to enter the game, like in virtual reality. Even if your person or your image looked different to represent you, your being a human being, would never change. This is exactly what happened regarding God incarnating in human form. He doesn't suddenly become a human being even if he takes on the traits of looking like a human being. He consistently remains a divine being. This is exactly what's going on in this case. When Jesus came to earth, he's still God, just in human form.
Oh, okay. Okay.
However, Trinity is not not at all what I'm trying to tell you, or wanting to tell you, because that is a spiritual concept that has to be revealed to you by God himself. Okay?
Okay.
It's actually the message of Christ. That is something we're able to fathom.
Okay. And what's the message of Christ?
That we've all sinned, or we've done immoral things and broken the law of Moses, which God gave to him, thus putting all of us under his condemnation. Means his anger, okay, if he was to judge us. However, God has done something amazing. He was able to uphold being just and uphold being merciful. He kept prophesying over and over again, it's all throughout the Old Testament, that he's going to make a new covenant. He comes here in human form. Why? Well, it's obvious, because he needs to talk to humans and atone for the sin debt of all of humanity by becoming the image of sin for people that want him. Stop looking at yourself like you're something grand and big. Your deeds are like menstrual rags. They don't impress me. Here's what actually impresses me, what I wanted all along. I want your faith, and I want your sincerity in wanting a relationship with me. I want you to want me. And how we're going to do this is through my son Jesus, because he's paid off your sin debt. Now you can come to me with his righteousness, and we'll form that relationship, because I'll divinely change you.
Oh, okay.
You know, so you are used to reading a holy book, okay? One thing I can tell you about the Bible is it's similar to some others, you know, in that you don't need to read from the very first page. It's not a storybook like that. What you can do is a lot of people tell you to look at the New Testament, because that is the covenant now that God wants you to be a part of. And you'll understand the Old Testament once you come to know Jesus through the New Testament. Any one of the Gospels like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, in fact, the more you read, the more knowledge you have anyway, you know, will tell you who Jesus is and what he did and why he was here, but nothing. And this is something that the New Testament, in fact, the Bible as a whole, keeps ringing, is nothing beats reaching out to God. Now, I understand there's lots of ideas of God. I'm not oblivious to this. There's some gods that some people believe are gods and they're under that. And they sort of think, well, who would I be reaching out to? Listen, God's already said it so many times, he knows someone's heart. And if you want to be super sure, Jesus said, if you pray in my name, well, there you go, you know who you're reaching out to.
I heard every single thing what you just said and research about it, and then study and figure it out by myself and get more educated on this part.
But pray. Like I can't stress enough. You got to reach out to God, because he'll help you understand it. All right. Well, thank you for listening. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
God bless. Yeah, you do.
I believe God.
Yeah, do you want to say a bit more about that before I continue?
Good day for you guys. See you later.
Ran away.
Where?